What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. One Piece, 1,174. Got a new chapter. Already pulled up the page so I can see we're on break, which is a little disappointing to, start everything. But regardless, we're here. It's about to be that time. I hope everybody enjoyed the new trailer, the official trailer for Season 2. See everything on full display there. Not much longer. Gonna get into this. So 1174, the strongest thing in the world. We've got Roger with a T-Rex. I'm gonna just assume that this is. I'm gonna take this as canon. Not a lot of these can be canon. I'm gonna take this one as canon, as this was part of Roger's adventures in Little Garden years ago. Okay, so last time we ended with Summers kind of bungling this operation. The ship that they were going to take the Giants on broke. But the kids are still walking to their presumed death. And then, yeah. In this chapter, I think it would be crazy if we didn't get more of the Brook stuff, but more than anything, I'd like to see what Frankie is up to. Lilith, Bonnie, kind of get a reset over there. Obviously, I'm on page 2, and we're continuing with the summer stuff, which, we should be doing that anyway, because that's where we ended. Kip said new trailer was incredible. Love seeing the messages. Jude's obsessed with Smoker. I love that. He had me explain all the characters in the trailer. I've been running around the house saying, "I'm Captain Smoker." Hey, I don't like that pilot. Let's see here. All right, so we're on page 2. Stupid. I lost the ship, and I lost the sea clouds. This looks really bad for me. The power of the arrow is still active. The kids are going to walk themselves right off the edge and splatter into the mountainside. Okay. Gunko, stop the kids. Gunko, we need to pause the operation. Wait, that won't work. Great. Emu is inside of her now. If I could just undo that arrow. Okay. giants trying to break the arrow. What's it even made out of? We can't scratch it. Mom, Daddy, help. It's pointless, you clowns. If you could stop it, I would have done so already. Wait, all those parents are right. At arm's length, unable to touch due to the thorns. Wait, all those parents are right. At arm's length, unable to touch due to the thorns. Forced to witness their beloved children plummet to their deaths. So he's getting an idea. That was page 3. I'm moving on to 4. This is also crazy because, I mean, like, most devil fruits have some sort of a counter. So if you're saying that, like, this arrow is completely, entirely unbreakable, even with hockey, what are we saying for this devil fruit? Sorry, guys. I put the mic in front of me. Crush said these giants do not look like hockey users. It doesn't matter if they're not. Summers should be. And if he's saying that he can't stop it, then that means that the hockey of a holy knight isn't going to be enough to break this arrow. So at that point, you're telling me that, like, this is the most broken devil fruit. So this is good logic from Saeed. It works with the same logic as Barto's barrier. It's not a barrier if it's breakable. Same with the arrow. It's not an arrow if it doesn't point us to the destination. It's still crazy. All right. I'm on the next page. Now that's a deliciously depraved way to die. I think it's worth it. If anyone's at fault here, the great one is who's controlling Gunko's body. We can always march more kids over here. Call their names, scream your family, love to the heavens. This is the real stuff. This is emotion. This guy's depraved. Ahem. Listen up. All you brats and PTA members. We were planning to have you taken safely and smoothly to the Holy Land, but due to an unforeseen accident, we seem to have lost the ship and the sea clouds it rested upon. Page 5. And this means you'll be reaching your goal via the tragic conclusion of falling to your deaths. There's nothing there. If we keep walking, we're gonna fall off. There's no way I'll let them keep going, even if I have to give up my arms to do it. Alright. Grandpa Oimo. Oh, I'm afraid there's nothing you can do. What does Summers think he's doing? It took forever to get those kids to the port. Alright. Next page. Damn it. Stop it, Grandpa Oimo. That hurts. I'm sorry, kids. Forgive me. Alright, so Oimo tried. That settles it. As long as that arrow doesn't disappear, there's no way to stop the children for sure. So we can't save them anymore. Oh no. All we can do is watch helplessly as our children plummet off the edge before our eyes. They fall into the underworld, we'll never find their bodies. Curse you, foul demons. Alright. I think heaven has punishing me for doing bad things. Huh? That's what they said when I got scolded too. Me too. I wish I had been a good boy. So we're all gonna die because we were naughty? How does Cologne feel about this? He's not complaining. No, I don't wanna. I'll be a good girl, I swear. Help us, spare our lives. I'm sorry. How are the Duke boys gonna get themselves out of this one? Okay, there's Cologne. I won't be bad anymore. Remember, when you're a bad boy, the sun god is watching. Okay, so Luffy's gonna come into this. I mean, this is something that I talked about last week. Like, if Luffy does fight Summers and treats him like a Bluno, like, that's best case scenario for me right now. Yeah, that's what I wanted last week, and let's see what happens, because we're talking about the sun god here. Cologne has a toy of the ancient robot. That's kind of interesting. Remember, when you're a bad boy, the sun god is watching. Yeah, but I've won it in a duel, so it's mine now. It's the same on the mural based off of it? Yeah, probably. If you're that strong, you should be gentler to the weak. Now go and apologize. Right. We get another flashback with one of these kids. Why'd you leave so much on your plate? Do you hate my cooking that much? But the carrots. Hey, don't take your father's sword out again. I hate you, Grandpa. You're a barbaric pirate. Alright, so that's, I guess, Oimo's grandson. Why did you lie to me again? How can I keep you safe if you won't be truthful with me? Why did you bring that to the school? I forgot my homework on purpose because I didn't want to do it. Right, so this is just all flashbacks to these kids, like, you know, forcing the emotion here. Wow, I don't want to die, mommy. All right, Ripley appears, going in for a spiked hug. There it is. Ooh, whoa, hold on. That doesn't look good. That would be a very messed up way to take her out. But Oda does not like moms. We know this. We've been like, if there's one thing that we have been talking about every week or every other week, it's that we found a kid with a mom. We've been saying that's not going to last very long. Not in this story. I mean, we got the spike going through her leg. It's going out her back. It's going through her arm. We got the blood trail dripping out of her mouth. This is not good. Sorry, I wasn't able to stop you, but get away from me, Mom. You're gonna die. I won't let you die alone. Oh my god. This is like a flashback scene in real life. Are we saying that the arrow is also going through her? Next page. She's gonna take the brunt of the fall. Wait, are the other parents doing this too? Oh, this is crazy. Oda, you madman. Mama, mommy, grandpa, mother, ma. Don't worry, everyone. I'm sure we'll turn out just fine. Right, everyone? We'll survive? Rania, I heard you earlier. You were so brave. Oh my god. And Mama, what's the scariest thing in the world? My mama. Oh, man. I'm sorry I said you were scary. That's fine, darling. Sometimes mama needs to be scary to keep you safe. They're all so lucky they have parents to hug them. Oh, this one kid is by themselves? Oh, that's... This is... Oh, this is giving, like, endgame Soulstone vibes. This is so dark, but this is exactly what I like. Like, this is what we needed, unfortunately. I mean, it's One Piece. All these parents might just get up, but I mean, this could be R.I.P. Ripley and Oimo. Which, like, we need these stakes. Like, this is what we need. This is crazy. Luffy's taking his sweet time on Snake Way. Alright, next page. And this is actually page 10 and 11 I'm on. I guess I haven't been hitting the button. I got too invested in everything. Page 12. I can be like a mother to you, but you're not my mother. Johanna is Ange. Don't show up at school. I'm embarrassed to have a need for a brother. I'll try my best to hide my nature. It's heavenly punishment. Ultra rare Bjorn. Ah, it doesn't hurt. Big brother. Well, I don't know. I can't say I'm gonna miss Road or Ange, so I'm kind of hoping this sticks. Summers is laughing. Look at that, like scraps of garbage plunging down into hell. It makes my heart tremble. Oh, what a saga of emotions. It could have been just 10 measly brats if they only stood back and watched. Stupid mothers, stupid fathers, martyrs for life. Oh, I've got a stitch in my side. Such poignantly pointless deaths. Page. Seeing everybody say Ange is beating the allegations. Yes, that's for sure. You know, she started this arc. You know, we believed she was a traitor. She was sus, but that's kind of just the convenience of the plot made her sus. Like, the fact that she had all of the kids specifically tell what their worst nightmares were on the day that a guy who can manipulate your nightmares arrives. That just is it. Perhaps Oda's most convenient bit of writing. But this is good for her character. Then we've got thud, thud, thud. Huh? What did they land on? Where are we? I don't know, but everybody's alive. Everybody's alive. All right. It's Gum Gum Tummy Cracker. Now you're poking me, so get off already. Luffy, listen up. Once we're up there, I need you off my back at once. Your back. It'll prevent me from fighting. They just started falling out of nowhere. Good thing we were passing by. It's not a good thing. I'm a destroyer. I won't guarantee that anyone survives. Now here goes. Okay. So Luffy's already gear 5. We're getting a silhouette of Loki's power. What's that? The whole tree is rippling. Snow. What's it snowing for? Thunder. Okay, so Loki can control the weather, which, you know, we already kind of had an inkling for. What's this rhythm? Elbaf itself is shaking. On an exceedingly rare day when lightning and snow combine, a vast beast will blanket the sky with its presence. And with the sound of the drums of liberation... Huh? Let's get a big spread. Let's see this. We're going on break. Let's end big. Come on. The sun god will appear. Look at this gigantic dragon. Full full double spread, uninterrupted. The biggest creature we've probably seen in the series outside of Zunisha. Considering that a bunch of giants landed on its back. Plural. It's giving Nidhogg for me. We'll have to wait and see. This is insane. I just can't get over how huge you are. And then you can see our Ratatosker stand-in over here. Ragnir. Good chapter. Good one. Luffy's the hero, you know, whether he wants to be considered a hero or not. So he saved everybody. Happy ending. See what the chat's talking about here. Must have said, how the hell did Shanks stop Loki? That's a great question. I don't know. This last page, I mean, this is, I think, worthy of this. is that's big news. I thought maybe we'd get the reveal like going up against Emu, but this is what this is where we are. This is where we are. Afadaka Blaze said that's Giant Luffy, by the way. Of course it is. I mean,
You loyal.
Not only Giant Luffy, probably the most Giant Luffy that we've ever seen, because he did a Fusen balloon that saved like 20 giants. So it's crazy. Alejandro Salas, member for 32 months, said the power of love is the strongest in the world. That's true. Yeah, the drums of liberation in the chat.
Savage.
Ugh. Kip's jaw dropped when they saw this. You know, I'm still trying to process that we just saved like 20 giants on Luffy's body while riding a massive dragon. Yep, I'm done reading, Deck. Shout out to Growth Stocks. Appreciate the super. Growth said Loki's previous Devil Fruit user was Onigashima, and is the dragon Ryuma slayed hinted by the Black Dragon in chapter 1094 color spread. Why the name was Ryugashima. Maybe. I mean, when you have to take in consideration like how massive Onigashima was, there could be something there. There could be something there. I can't imagine what the hybrid form is going to look like.
You loyal.
So this is surely the dragon on the mural, right? I mean, I can only imagine. Luke said, especially love that this explains how both Luffy and Loki can be considered the sun god. They were devil fruits from different worlds, the first world and the second world. That's a take, okay. But, you know, it also... It explains to me, like, I want to see it. I mean, it doesn't explain, but it starts to fill in cracks with Kaido. Because it's like the 400 years ago, the Shandians are worshipping a giant blue snake. Dragons, kind of snake-like, you know. Kaido thought that, you know, I thought you couldn't be Joy Boy either, you know, that whole line. It just implies that, like, perhaps because of the fruit that Kaido had, like, there was some confusion amongst certain groups that, like, it was the fruit that Loki has right now. Like, well, it's dragon. Dragon, you know, a dragon played a role in this, you know, event so many years ago, and now Kaido's a dragon, so that must be it, right? So Kaido thought that he was the sun god, but he wasn't. So there's gotta be something that ties into all of this kind of stuff here. And I hope that gets kind of figured out. Sayed said in the early concept notes, Onigashima was going to be called Ryugashima, not in the story. Yeah, but that still is something that could get canonized. There is the whole, oh, that's what they're calling it now, line. JP said, do you think he's actually all black or it's just a shading thing again? I hope that he isn't all black. I would like it if there's some sort of a color there. If it's blue, I feel like that ties into a little bit, you know, like it's setting a precedent in the story. Like, yes, it does feel like we're completely retreading Kaido on, like, you know, a bigger scale, but that is also what it feels like it's supposed to be anyway. If it's red, then it feels like we're making a reference to everything that happened on Punk Hazard. If it's black, I feel like that's too emu, too Blackbeard. If it's purple, you know, like that's something colorful that, you know, if it's essentially like Loki's hair color becomes the skin color of the dragon, like that could be interesting. It'd be vibrant. It would be something different. It would stand out amongst everything else in the story. Volkazard said, unfortunately, I got spoilers for Loki, but still absolute fire buildup. I had no spoilers for Loki. I did see one YouTube thumbnail that had Ripley on it, so I knew Ripley was in the chapter enough to be on someone's thumbnail, but not, like, why. Red Hood said best chapter this year. Yeah, I could probably agree with that. I mean, we haven't had much this year, and this one, you know, it had stakes. So, and obviously we got a full uncompromised double page spread, which we don't get all the time. Shout out to Brian Carter for the super. Said, how many more chapters do you think we have? Like, in general, for up to the end of the story? There's a part of me that feels like Oda could wrap everything up in like 100 chapters. Or less. Like, I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I just less than 200 for sure. But I could see Oda's, speed running through some things where we're starting to roll towards the end. Elbaf, I mean, we're in the climax now as far as I'm concerned, so this is, far less than 20 chapters, I think, until we feel like we've come to some sort of a resolution, good or bad. Rate Summers, same Hall of Fame with Spandam now. The difference between Summers and Spandam is like, for as evil and awful Spandam was, like, I liked Spandam as a character, and I still do. Summers, I'm still not completely sold on, but like, he's in the trash bin for sure. His characterization is getting better with each depraved act, but yeah. Dax also on the purple train. Yeah, let's see what happens. Shout out to Alejandro Salas for super. Said Yasa played dirty and shot a sea stone bullet at Loki. I mean, maybe, that's a good way to get around some things there. Emil thinks that the original sun god Nika probably rode a dragon into combat. He was Turak Makto. Emil said dark green would be unique. There was also the green dragon in Punk Hazard in like the middle of it after the red one, so it wouldn't be as unique. But I think like Loki being this menacing creature, but then also having like the light, the pink purple sort of color that that Loki's hair is, like, have that be all of it would be really unique. That would be unique to me. But I'm not against green. That said, just want to pop in, Randy. Say congrats on season 2. So exciting. Yep. Not much longer. Appreciate it. Can't wait for everybody to see. Jacob said the chapter title made it clear what was suspected from scan translations. The strongest was referring to love. TCB and the like didn't mention thing. Strongest thing in the world, yeah. You know, it's Oda's doing a, trying to make a double play there with Love. Love is the main
You
part
loyal.
of it, but then also wants to get the community talking about, what do they need. Hard to rate trash against trash, that's facts. Said, Randy, do you think Oda drew the T-Rex cover knowing the final trailer would have a T-Rex in it? Honestly, probably. But I don't know. Dak said it feels like Loki's trope is trying to be an evil badass, but he's actually super nice. So if he's a big scary dragon with bright happy colors, if it's and that's kind of like what I'm going with it also. Shout out to Growth Stocks with the double super here. He said Ja Rule is going to get Domi Reversi to his prime, which is why they brought it up, and he's going to have to fight alongside Gunku Imu against Luffy and Loki. Now that's interesting. Loki is going to get Domi, resulting in Luffy versus Loki, and then Gunku Imu versus Usopp. This way Usopp gets Ragnir, and Hiruden pulls Excalibur from Ja Rule. I really don't like the idea of Loki getting Reversi'd. Just because it feels like it feels too obvious. Let's make the biggest thing in the world the bad guy for a little bit. But I love the idea of it being the cause and the reason for Usopp to get Ragnir, though. Like if it happens and then we do get that, which is like the one thing that I want out of this arc, is for Usopp to get a size changing hammer. Then I'm okay with it, but I just Loki getting Domi Reversi'd feels like the thing that most people would put in the center of their bingo card. Like, oh, this is totally gonna happen. And because of that, that's why I feel like Oda would do the opposite and not have him get Reversi'd. So this is going to be a matter of, is Oda going to play into the stereotype, into what's expected, into fan expectations, or is Oda going to Oda and try to subvert that? That's going to be the big question. But I also like the idea, it's like the sword inside of Ja Rule's head does feel like the Chekhov's gun here, right? But here's the thing too. If Ja Rule does get Domi Reversi'd, then he has the power of the Abyss. He can just pull the sword out, and now there's no damage to him as he does it. So then he fights with that sword, or dual wields. I can't remember if Ja Rule's carrying a sword with them to begin with, but in the same way that we just saw Dory and Brogy get sliced up, they're gonna put themselves back together. Harold was able to put himself back together. Ja Rule would be able to put himself back together. So I think that that's actually a very convincing argument for exactly what you're talking about. Ja Rule gets Domi Reversi'd so that he can actually get the sword out of his head and not have any damage. And maybe because of that alone, top 3 gonna get Domi Reversi'd characters. Aniket Kuricha said, I think Elbaf could easily go another 15-20 chapters. I agree. Especially if we get the Brook and Co mini flashback. Yep, but as I've said before, if we're gonna get that, it's gonna be a chapter and a half, no more than 2 chapters. It's not gonna be the size of the other flashbacks. It might even be like a half chapter thing. Like, even when you go back to the original Brook flashback, it's not a long flashback. And if we get the Shanks reunion at the end and resolve everything with Loki, yeah, Shanks showing up at the end of this arc would definitely feel like having something like Shanks show up and like get a Luffy and Shanks reunion at the end of all of this would feel like hyping up Elbaf for the entire story meant something. Do I think it's gonna happen? I don't know, and I'm not gonna put a a stamp on that one or not, but I will say that that's like a big enough thing to be like, okay, well, we've been waiting for Elbaf the entire story, and now the biggest thing to happen in One Piece also happens on Elbaf, something like that. It said, Randy, did we do bingo cards and I missed it? No, I didn't do a bingo card, but I know a lot of people do it, and that's why I said, like, that particular thing just feels like the centerpiece. Dax said, ever since Domi Reversi was revealed, I feel like I've heard at least one theory about every character being Reversied at some point. I hope Oda is more judicial with it. Yeah, I just... like, I have my characters that I think would be interesting, for it to happen. But it's like the only way that we're gonna get Domi Reversi on, say, like, any of the crew is if Luffy is the counter. Like, if this is, the whole game is either to change pieces into, black pieces or white pieces, and Emu is turning things black, then Luffy has to be turning things white with his Gear 5 ability. And if that becomes the case, then it's like, it's... if Luffy is the cure, then everybody can get Domi Reversied, because Luffy's just going to fix it. That's what I've been saying, and the Bonnie stuff with her turning Gear 5 was the foreshadowing for it. Time Lord, 30 months, close to my age. Love the savagery. Tune into the savagery. We're here. Growth said, another thing about Domi Reversi Loki is that his wounds take months to heal, which would fix that. Yeah, I mean, it's a way around getting a lot of, to that degree, then all of these parents might as well get Domi Reversied as well, right? Ripley's got to get Domi. Ripley's been on my list for Domi Reversi since we saw Domi Reversi. So that would... it would fix all of this, maybe. Unless you get Undomi Reversied and you just go back to the condition that you were in before. In which case, also, R.I.P. Brogy's hand. Like you said, on the Reversi Loki theory, it could still happen, but it could very well be re-reversed easily for all we know. It's never been seen who's done someone with Conqueror's Hockey, to my knowledge. Yeah. We gotta see. Well, Zebek. Zebek had Conquerors.
I'm about to make a name for myself, yeah.
It said Nami gets reversied. That's one of the characters that I think is like completely safe. Like unless like if Nami gets reversied, like the entire crew's getting reversied just so Luffy can fix them. But if we're like just spot picking everybody, it's not going to happen to Nami, and I don't think it's going to happen to Usopp either. Big shout out to K Pro. Appreciate you, K Pro said, is it just me? Or does this Brook and Shuri thing feel kind of random? Also was really hoping this prophecy was more vague and not so exact. Or is it a Doctor Strange one possible future seen by someone in the past, but can't say who? So on Brook and Shuri, like, yeah, it's random. I mean, no one expected, coming into Elbaf that we were going to get a second Brook story. But also going into Whole Cake Island, nobody expected the or leaving Dressrosa and entering this sort of Big Mom section of the story. No one expected that we were going to have so much focus on Sanji, that we were going to get a second Sanji flashback, that Sanji's family was going to be relevant. Despite, I grew up in the North Blue and everything like that. You could say Capone inviting, telling Sanji he's going to get married, was random also. This is a way to add some personal stakes to everything that's going on. And I think that it's wise for Oda to utilize the fact that we have a member on the crew that is 90 years old. We have a crew member that is 90 years old, that has lived 4 times the life of the majority of the crew, is from a completely different generation and had a completely different life even before joining Yorkie. Because Brook was already well into his 30s, almost 40, before becoming a skeleton. So and it stands to reason that, Brook, he had a childhood, which is still completely unknown to us. We've seen everybody else's childhood. We've never seen Brook's. We've seen a drawing, like Oda's drawn him with the, the violin and everything like that. But, there's like figures of it, but it's not in the canon. So there's an opportunity at some point in the story to see what Brook was like as a kid. We know it was hinted explicitly in the canon that he was like, a vizier for a nation before even finding Yorkie. So it's like, this is the payoff of that from a long time ago. And it's a way to kind of imbue a subtle weakness into the fight. So like, yeah, there's a plot thing there. It is convenient. But I don't think random is the right word for it. I feel like Oda did put enough seeds into the story to make this stuff with Brook and Gunko, Shuri, feel earned. So I'm like, it's actually right now my favorite part of Elbaf, the execution of that, and that's the story that I'm most invested in out of all else. I came into this like, okay, let's get some Usopp stuff. Usopp is currently sidelined. He's feeling like Zoro and Wano. I expect that to change, but you know, and then the arc actually started off like it was going to be a Robin arc, which I was like, okay, let's go. Like, this is cool. We got the whole Saul thing and everything, but now it's like it's shifting once again. It's like, no. We're putting a lot of focus on Brook. I'm okay with that. Okay with that. Then as far as the prophecy is concerned, yeah, I do kind of feel like it's going to be a Doctor Strange one possible future seen by someone in the past. And it's like, it's vague because people have been playing telephone with the prophecy. But whatever prophecy we end up getting, I feel like will be pretty exact and feel like very like okay, this is what's going to happen. But over time, like, it gets muddied, and you know, you have eventually like people thinking that, you know, a blue snake is a god because somehow 400 years ago they were like, you know, there was this dragon and it was blah blah blah. So we're here at this moment, and it's like you have a lot of people trying to move through and make the prophecy make sense. And the people that know this prophecy are, you know, definitely Shanks, Rayleigh, and Gabon. And Luffy fits into it, whether he likes it or not. And he's going to actively like go against it in his own way, but by doing that also he's going to be feeding the prophecy even more. That's how I feel about it. EJ said that Brook was the Pell of his kingdom. I actually think that he was probably more so the Igaram of the kingdom, right? He could have been the Pell, but I think it makes sense. Like, if he was the person in charge of a royal guard, like he probably started as a Pell, then became the, you know, the captain of royal guard in a way, so that he would end up having like an Igaram and Vivi sort of relationship between Brook and Shuri rather than a Pell. But I mean, I guess both work. I'm just leaning more Igaram. You know, another really like interesting thing though is like when you take a country like Alabasta, where presumably 400 years ago there was, you know, 800 years ago, 1200 years ago, whatever, you had a king and then two warriors, and they understand how devil fruits work, and when that person dies, the next person in line is going to eat that devil fruit, because the way that it felt like it was explained is like, in Alabasta there's always a jackal and there is always a falcon. I wonder if Brook's fruit worked the same way for whatever kingdom he was at. Like, he eats the fruit, and then it's like you're committing to being the vizier of this nation, like through multiple lifetimes. Like, you're gonna die, you're gonna get revived, and then you're going to continue serving this nation. And I think there's an interesting way of like Oda framing that in a negative light, like as if like he ate his fruit and it was intended as an act of servitude, almost like a punishment. And then he breaks away from that, right, looking for his own freedom with Yorkie, and it's like, yeah, I have this fruit, I'm gonna when I die I'm gonna come back, but now it's gonna be on my own terms. then you get the tragedy of like him living on his own terms, but then spending 50 years like as a skeleton, almost essentially like living out the prophecy
Ooh, I'm
of
about to make
what
a name for myself, yeah.
the kingdom could have potentially wanted for him in this like made up scenario. Them finding that freedom again, but then now being face to face with the, you know, the daughter of the person who, you know, may have given him the fruit and put him on that journey in the first place. I don't know, like that's like a way to like make something that seems like pretty innocuous, like that would be an Oda way of like, oh, whoa, that's crazy, you know? Dax said, I love it. My Goto's finally getting more shine, but waiting on this Brook flashback for almost a century. Brook said he was a convoy captain back in Thriller Bark. The exact title is the same that Shamrock has for his position in the God's Knights. Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't remember the exact like title or whatever it was. Okay, Pro N.
Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself, yeah.
Appreciate you. Said, makes more sense now. Man, it's been like 20 plus years, your boy's pushing 40 and his memory doesn't hold up like it used to. Hey. I'm right there with you. It just really seems to me like, obviously this prophecy stuff is laid in very sporadic in the story, but I just, you know, I haven't done it recently, but I remember, you know, when I was really active making videos, one thing that I like to do with my like read-throughs of the story, like going back and everything, is like focusing on character. Not looking at the story as a whole, but like picking a character and then following the thread of that character. Like, what is Oda like deliberately actually trying to say every time this particular character shows up on screen? You know, so like I read like every scene with Blackbeard, just like going through it and finding the like the through lines. What's the consistent thing here? What is always getting talked about with Blackbeard? It's everybody's talking about fate. You know, and I've got videos like all about that, but it's like that's where the perspective of everything was coming from. You can talk, you can look at the way that everybody reacts to the story, but it's like when the character is actually on screen, what is their dialogue talking about, and where does the story feel like it's going? And from that perspective, it's like that's how you're gonna like really that from my to me that's how I'm gonna get into Oda's head as far as like what is he thinking of when he draws this character and puts the dialogue in their mouth. When I did it with Shanks, everything felt like he was on a direct path. Like everything he was doing, it felt like he was doing it for a reason, deliberately. Nothing felt random. And you know, and it's like you see the conversation that he has with Rayleigh at the archipelago. He's talking about Luffy. But the way that he's talking to Rayleigh about Luffy is from the perspective of like, this is stuff that we've already talked about because we're together all looking for something, like the Roger Pirates, or like, you know, the top, the inner circle of the Roger Pirates. Like we know, you know, like Shanks clearly knows what Laugh Tale holds. He knows what the One Piece is. He was told by Rayleigh, he's not on some sort of journey where it's like, I need the adventure to be this grand mystery. He knows it all. He also has ties now that we know to the Holy Land, so he's already getting like that. He probably knows even more from being there. So he's got both sides to this now. But there is some sort of a plan in place where they know in 20 years something is going to happen. And this is also like, you go back and you start reading, and as I'm reading this Shanks stuff, you're also seeing the Roger parts, right? So you're seeing the stuff in Fisherman Island where they're specifically talking about prophecies, where they're specifically talking about things that are going to happen in the future that are like set in stone. Neptune is so convinced, he already knows that he's going to have a daughter that is going to be Poseidon. He already knows that. Years before she's even thought of being conceived. I don't even think he's with Odahime yet. He hasn't even met Oda. Like, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember if that was actually part of it, but that, it's still... The point is how vague this prophecy is. The further we get into the story, the more it feels like it's locked. We are in a chosen one story. The path is fixed. There's no fate, but what we make for ourselves is not applying here. Judgment Day will happen. No matter what you do, this fixed timeline is going to happen because Blackbeard also knows stuff. So when you run these two angles concurrently, the Shanks and the Blackbeard story, Shanks is talking about a fixed point in time that is coming soon. And Blackbeard is talking about how everything happens for a reason, everything is predetermined. Luke said, I only have so much RAM left in this brain case. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of this information that's in my brain case when this is all over. Alex said Neptune does have a certified oracle on hand. Exactly. Just goes to say that there's probably more of them out there. And were there 800-900 years ago. Dax said, has anyone brought up the potential Charlie-Harley connection? How the names are so similar. Harley is Charlie's great grandpa. Well, I would need someone like Saeed to cross-check the kanji, the katakana on that. How actually similar would that be? But the craziest thing about that though is when you factor in that Arlong is Charlie's sister. Is Arlong important to all of this? How much did Arlong know? And why was he so cool with just chilling in the East Blue? I'll catch you later, Luke. Yeah, we gotta check that. We gotta check the Japanese on that. Future Sight Arlong. You didn't see Luffy coming. Okay, here it is. Shout out to Sai with the quickness. Looking very different. It's something that works really, only in English. Growth said, we still have never gotten the answer to who gave Harold the prophecy in 1136 that Loki would kill him. Yeah. Oda is very, he really picks when he wants to start talking about prophecies and stuff. Because it's just gonna get too crazy. It's just going to get too crazy. We're going to get too close to the One Piece, and we're going to get too close to the end if we start, getting into the prophecies. And he also doesn't want too many casual fans to get hung up on the idea of prophecy. Because it's bad enough when you try to tell someone, a Chosen One story, and they're like, again? Again. Chair piece. Be right back, guys. I'm back. Volkazard said that this was the Valentine chapter. Love wins. Actually, I have my Valentine's gift from Chrissy, which was the Wapple action figure. This is fun. I really hope they keep making more of these figures. Red Hood said, if anything, Ace was really the child of prophecy, and Luffy inherited his will. think I want Ace to deliberately be revealed as like the fake out, the red herring prophecy. He's a character that, like, oh, it all makes sense on paper. Like, it's Roger's kid. Cool. You know, could be the lead of this story in a you know, with another author in place. But, you know, the other thing with that too is when Ace was introduced, like, you know, the idea of Ace being Roger's son wasn't necessarily part of the plan. They said that it's like an editor's suggestion during Marineford. That's what the word on the street's been for years. Dax said the most interesting thing about the prophecy and Luffy being the chosen one is where the prophecies will kind of diverge. I can't see literally everything being scripted. It's going to be one of those things where everything seems scripted, but at the very end of the story, Luffy's going to go off script because that's what Luffy does, and that's what and I feel like that's kind of the, I think, going to be the point that Oda's trying to make, because in his own life he went off script. You know, I mean, like, it's a very anime manga thing to be like, okay, I'm like bogged down by what my parents want for me, but I'm going to break free of that. And it's always because the mangaka, you know, you see it in American stuff as well. It's just like, so many parents that want their kids to be doctors and all this kind of stuff, and once you want to say you want to be an artist, a filmmaker, anything that's not secure, everything sort of just, you know, goes crazy. So I kind of hope that there'll be a moment where Luffy is face to face with, like, no, this is the way that it needs to go. And then Luffy says, no, I'm going to do it my way. And the result is either better or ends up exactly being what it was supposed to be. Just his way now. Dax said, yeah, exactly. Luffy's going to do something unexpected against the prophecy that actually saves the day and changes the future in a similar way to when he fought Cat. Man Roger was waiting for is not you. Yep. You start pulling apart all of the prophecy moments in the story. Roger is waiting for a man. And Shanks knows that that man isn't him either. Because Shanks went out into the world with the Hito no Mi model Nika, looking specifically for the man that Roger was waiting for. Everybody wants it to be that. Blackbeard wants it to be him. You know, all of these pirates entering the Grand Line want it to be them. But at the end of the day, do you have the talent? Do you have the conviction to get to the final island? We got changeable heads, changeable arms with this Wapple. That's cool. Brandon said this reminds me of Fire Force. Haven't seen it, but the universe is always ultimately fated for destruction and rebirth. Since people fear death, the world will always end in it. Imagine being Whitebeard and taking the spitting image of your dead rival under your wing. Great man, for real. I mean, you know, you could say, imagine being Whitebeard and taking the spitting image of your dead captain and friend that you had a hand in killing. Also. Toy Maker Wapple made into a toy. Yeah. You know, if you asked me 25 years ago if I'd be holding a Wapple action figure in my hand. I don't know. I don't know about that one. But I am. I'm gonna throw the cannon arm on him. That's cool. Red Hood said, in my head canon, Whitebeard knew about both, but wanted to treat Ace and Blackbeard as their own humans. You don't have to think about the sins of the father don't always have to apply. Jacob continues saying, someday someone will appear carrying the history of all those decades on his back and challenge this world to a fight. We might be at that moment. When you take a line like that, and you considering that Luffy is literally riding upon the back of Loki into battle against the forces that are, controlling and destroying the world. Cone Killer Confusor said, "Man, I am not liking the beige shorts Luffy is wearing in almost all the promo material and merch." Well, it's Canon Oda. I mean, it was one of the first images that Oda ever drew of Luffy. Right there. Right on the back of Volume 1. Town at the beginning and the end. It's the outfit for Logtown. Jacob said, "Will be interesting to see what drives Luffy to get to that exact position. Last time it was Robin, next Ace. So what will he and the crew discover that leads them to that?" There's a before to this. Always thought Luffy also already challenged the world to a fight at Ennie's lobby. So this is going to be him doing what he's always done. Yeah. But, you know, now he's actually against the real deal. Although Gunko's still an Emu proxy and not really Emu. But, you know, when you're going up against CP9, and not to take away from the, what happened there, great, but it was a shadow of the real fight. Alex Mirren said, "Luffy didn't really develop good fashion until after the time skip. One could also argue, ever. Luffy is not a particularly droopy individual. Okay. Most of his fits are entirely uncertified. So I would argue that like 90%, maybe even 90 something percent of all Luffy outfits are not good. I would never wear them. I would not put them on. You know, whereas like you take someone like Sanji, where I would say 90% of what he's got on, I'm like, okay, he's rocking it. Let me wear that. I'm not gonna wear the egghead fit, but I would actually rock Luffy's egghead fit. Maybe not the boots. I don't know. The Mega Man 11s are a bit much for me, but the jacket is cool. It's one of Luffy's like only good fits. Dressrosa sunflower shirt. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I would put that up there. But I mean, he mostly rocks like a Homer Simpson outfit. He's got the red vest, and then he just switches the shorts out: blue shorts, black shorts, blue short, blue shirt, and then shorts, yellow shorts. You know, and it's not the only time that he's had yellow shorts either. where are we at? We read the chapter. We discussed a lot of things. I'm going to take a re-look at the chapter, and I'm probably going to start winding down, to be honest. I'm ready to start asking you guys for anything else that you want to start. What other topics you want to hit? What's the community discussing? Where is the community in terms of, does everyone feel that this is Nidhogg, or what else are we dealing with at the end here? How do people feel about the fake out death? Are we happy that Luffy saved everyone, or would we have preferred this become Dark Peace? You know what, I as I'm rereading all of this, first, this is a very character-centric chapter, which make for the best chapters, to be honest. Like, focusing in on the characters like this is phenomenal, and it's elevating so many of these individuals from Elbaf. What's also interesting to me is Loki's eyes when he's in his full transformation. They're just the same eyes from when he was a child. And I think that that's a really nice extra addition there. And then you have this last panel, which is just majestic. And it's like Oda spent so much time, before the flashback, hyping up these creatures that were created by killing him, and wanted to show their size, how they were, dwarfing giants by being 2 to 3 times larger than most of the giants. And then you see this creature that Loki is turned into. And even with giant Luffy that just saved, 20 giants, Loki is 20 times larger than Killingham's constructs, which are already 2 to 3 times larger than most giants. So it's the scale of all of this is entirely just wild. Monkey said, what matters the most is the way of depicting family bonds. If it's something new and creative, and if Oda succeeded in moving the readers, which I'd say Oda did a phenomenal job on all that. Yeah. I give you that. Duran said, I think this entire arc so far is still a lot of setup. It feels like meeting Baroque works for the first time. Yeah. I think it's a good way of putting a lot of this. Like, if I had to put this as like the, the Alabasta saga, I really feel like we're still in like the whiskey peak of it all. And, this moment with the kids and parents, it's kind of like Igaram getting blown up on the boat. He doesn't die, but it was an effective tool to endear us to Vivi, who we didn't know at the time very well. We're still like, you know, we're building up to things. Red Hood said, now I need all of Luffy's fits ranked. Yeah. I could do that. That'd be fun. I feel like there would probably only be like 3 at the top. And then there would be like, you know, like nothing in B and C, and then the rest of the fits would just be in D and F though. Or honestly, actually, it'd probably be like, there'd be like an S tier that would just be completely empty, because I don't think I can think of one fit that I'm like, wow, Luffy crushed this. Outside of like, it would have to be like a color spread where he's like fully like decked out. But I mean, like if we're talking canon, no, there's no S tier Luffy fit. I'm sorry. Scale is unfathomable. $11.74 is for One Piece fans with kids chapter, and I look as a dad, this stuff hit. I'd have done the same thing. Jacob said 1174 made me think about family and parents, how it's special to have even one person who loves you enough to give their life for you. And I like that Oda also took the time to, you know, show that one of the kids doesn't have parents, but still had someone come to their aid. Duran said Gunko is the Vivi of Whiskey Peak. Literally has blue hair too. Yep. Everything's a copy of a copy. It's, you know, when you remix something, it's how, you know, how good's the remix? And Oda is a master DJ. Jacob said, didn't you and your cousin already do a blind One Piece fits rating stream? We did a long time ago. It was one of my favorite streams. It was hilarious. I still love it. We didn't go through like every particular outfit of one character though. We kind of like, it was more character based than multiple fit based, I think. I mean, we did multiple like different, I think, Sanji fits and stuff like that too, but it was more about like which character has the best fits. You said blind one for him. It was hilarious. Yeah, oh, it was completely blind for him. He had not seen any of that beforehand. No Killer said roof piece Luffy though. See, but he still has the chocolates on, so he'll never get an S from me. That might be S tier for you. I mean he had the jacket on. That was great. I love the coat. The coat was S, but the whole thing, his toes are out. It doesn't matter. He'll never get S tier if his toes are out. I'm the anti Tarantino. I do not want to see feet. I don't want to see them. Travis said Roto stepping up as a big bro too. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it doesn't change anything that he already has done though. So's out, drips out. Yep. Remember us all seeing Sanji's Hawaiian hoodie fit. I'm just glad it's gone. I'm just glad it's gone. It's finally gone. Tominator. Moonky said the Emmett toy moment reminded me of Ripley holding Frankie like a robot toy in the Harley chapter. Also, do you think that dragon in the middle of the mural is Loki's fruit? It could be. Could be. Honestly, I mean, I feel like we already like went to the mural for Loki's fruit. Like whatever, like if he had, like I'm sure we talked about this before, where it's like if he has a fruit, it's got to be on the mural. He's not going to have something that's supposed to be part of a prophecy and it doesn't play in the Void Century. Said said, on your point of Arlong being Charlie's elder brother, the way Arlong's name is written in Japanese and pronounced Aaron is similar to Moses' elder brother. Do you have a further take on that? Two hackers in Bounty Rush. You know, I used to play Bounty Rush every day religiously. I was SS. What I loved about Bounty Rush when the game came out is that you could take what most people would consider like a nobody character and like go and fight a warlord or a Yonko. As long as you like had them built up enough, like the game was really balanced and fair. And then the power creep just became so crazy. I still log in like a couple of times a week just to, like do dailies and stuff, but like I don't jump into matches. One, because like I'm not gonna commit to playing a bunch just drop rank to a crazy degree. It's a game that was so fun, and then I don't know, so certain characters came into the game and just like took the fun out of it. So I was just providing more theory fodder when somebody mentioned Charlie being Neptune's oracle. Very similar to Harley, yeah. Say, I know, right? I feel like there's a lot to fix in the game. I just wanted to go back to the way it was at the beginning. It's like I have a fully maxed out red VV that is on Karoo. fully maxed.
Who am I about to make a name
Like,
for myself?
level
Yeah.
3, like there's nothing else that I can do with that character. Like totally at the top. I've got a fully maxed Bellamy. Level 3, all the way to the top. Took a long time to get there, and most of it was just like, doing those dailies, saving all of my stuff, and like waiting for characters that I really wanted. And there was a time where like I was dominating, like taking down Kaidos and Whitebeards with Vivi and Bellamy and all this. And then certain characters came in, and it's like they could be, I'm level 100, 3 pushed all the way with all the frags and everything. And I know I'm speaking gibberish to anybody that doesn't play this game. And then someone can have like a level 60 unbuilt EX character and one-shot me now. I'm like, I can't. Like, I'm sorry. It's not fair. It's not fair. Shout out to K Pro. Appreciate you again.
Who am I about to make a name for myself? Yeah.
A little off topic, but I was arguing with a buddy the other day about Garp being a bum. But he changed my mind with some good points, with a lot of things not being possible without Garp doing what he did. Now I think he's him. Here's the thing about Garp. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about Garp because I really wanted Garp to be the subterfuge within the system. This like big brain dude that was going to be partly responsible for the end of the system. Leader of Sword, master planner, didn't get involved in everything with Ace because he knew that like things were bigger than him. Like I can't. I know that there is going to be an event at some point where like I've got to initiate phase 2, and Ace made his own choice, and if I blow my cover here, I'm just gonna mess it up for billions of people. The more characterization that we've gotten since then, like still kind of leading Sword, everything with Hachinosu, like all this stuff. What we've seen is that Garp is exactly that. Just indirectly. Everything that I wanted from Garp I'm getting, but it's not active. It's not, oh, I put this in place to do this. It's, I inspired this person to get there. I picked this person. I putting all of his chips into Kobe is what is eventually going to get us, a new government, marine system at some point in the story. He inspired Aokiji. Whatever he ends up doing and all of this, like, he has defected from the system. He may be with the wrong man right now. Who's to say? But he's doing exactly what I think Garp would have wanted to do. Garp's son is Dragon. Look at what Dragon's doing. Dragon's son is Luffy. Look at what Luffy's doing. Garp is this master rebel who is just stuck, married to the system that he's in. But he can't walk, move, or breathe without creating the change that he wants, but is lazy isn't the right word, isn't active enough to do himself. he's not going to go and fight Emu like he did in God Valley. But through his actions and everything that he does, he's still responsible for the people that will fight Emu. So Shin said we need the Law and Garp scene. Law says to Garp, "Hey boss." Don Saw said this chapter has my mind in shambles. I love it. We're on a break, so we got a lot of time to sit on this one. Alex said Garp is more mentor than mastermind in the end. Fodok, Garp is a Marine. He's not a bum because he didn't help Ace. Ace made his choice to be a pirate. Jin said Sword could still be like the Grand Fleet to Garp, even if Garp isn't the one inventing Sword. Yeah, I mean, it feels like Sword is almost a response to the way Garp lives his life. Like, he might not have officially resigned or anything like that, or, you know, maybe he did. We've never been told one way or the other. But we know that Sword is a bunch of people that have, like, turned their resignation letters in to a degree, to a sense. Like, you know, it's not, it's not exactly that, but it's like they're allowed to operate outside of the system in the way that, but they had to do it through this level of bureaucracy that Garp didn't really have to, because he was just that guy and no one wanted to mess with him or correct him with, you know, not taking promotions and all that kind of stuff. Jacob said Law and Sword theory is still in play. It's still in play until it's not. So do I still stand by it now? I think that it would still be good for the story, but there's a part of me that wants, like, Impel Down 2.0 Law or Cross Guild Law maybe a little more now, which were, you know, not necessarily ideas that were in play when I was, you know, making that theory, but we also didn't even know what Sword was, so. It feels like Law and Sword or Law and Cross Guild has to happen. Yeah, I mean, and it feels like Cross Guild is more likely just because they're collecting the 7 warlords. So, and it's like, it could be interesting if at the end Cross Guild does have 7 of the former warlords. So, I mean, let's think about this. We got Crocodile, Mihawk, Buggy. Moria's a definite to me. They'll get Weevil, Law, and then who would be number 7? They're not gonna get Kuma. They're not gonna get. They might get Hancock. Oda would need, like, a reason for that to happen, but they're not gonna get Kuma. They're not gonna get Jinbei, and Hancock is iffy. So, am I missing one? They're not going to get Blackbeard. Alex said Law just can't limp back to the Strahds. I mean, I would like it if it was a thing where, you know, Law actually did challenge them at the end for all of this. Because it's like, you know, just because they hung out and worked together doesn't mean that they don't also want the same thing, and not everybody can have it. So. Oh, Dofi. How did I forget Dofi? Yeah, so they're gonna have 7. How did I forget Doflamingo? Yeah. So that'll be the 7, and that'll be pretty crazy. So Croc. The 5 warlords that were at Roger's execution. Right? So Croc, Mihawk, Dofi, Moria, and Buggy. And then you add Law and Weevil. You have 7 warlords in the Cross Guild. But, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap things up here, guys. I'll take some last thoughts for maybe another 2 minutes here. Read what else we got here, and then that's gonna be that. So I'm getting hungry. Aniket said, Garp's one of the best characters, and he's also consistent because he saved Dragon but didn't save Ace because Dragon listened to him and Ace didn't. Garp did the right thing in both scenarios. Doing the right thing is, subjective. But, I see where you're coming from in terms of, like, yeah, Dragon was a Marine and, all of that. But there's also an element, too, of, like, Dragon is legitimately his blood, and Ace wasn't. So... you get caught up in the tricky waters there. Law whispered to Beppo as they swam away. Take me a sword. Said the Harley sacred text could be a reference to the Harleian Library or the Harley Collection in London, formerly the Library of the British Museum. I could see that. Jin said, Randy, thank you. Looking forward to OPLA Season 2. Normies have no idea what's coming for them with Chopper's flashback. Trailer is all fun and joy. Yeah, I love that trailer so much. And I'm glad that everybody finally got to see it. And I'm looking forward to everybody just seeing the rest. It's not going to be much longer. Jeez. The next chapter will probably be coming out, like, right before it. I hope Oda does a another color spread. This time incorporating, like, other characters. I really love the color spread that he did. Like, imagining the live action actors as the characters. Like I said, I rarely catch a stream live. Had a lot of fun. Hey, happy you stopped by. You guys all have a great 2 weeks. See y'all for 1175 in 2 weeks. Yeah. All right, guys. Take care. And if also the live action is having fan events in a bunch of different areas around the world. look for those, see some stuff early. Later, everybody.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.